All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Uh, Looks like the attendee count is continuing to go up. So while that's occurring, let me go ahead and thank all of our panelists and viewers for joining us this morning. The reason this webinar came together is November is, of course, home to Veterans Day. And a lot of activities have been occurring around the state of Florida with regards to showing off all of the benefits, the quality of life, the economic opportunities that we have in this great state. My staff in particular, I know, has been attending a lot of the Paychecks for Patriots job fairs that are put on by our local partners at CareerSource and Department of Economic Opportunity. And so that's just a little bit of a taste of what Florida provides. Florida is a large state. You know, there's probably a few folks who are watching this who are from out of state. And I can tell you just on simple things such as if you don't like seasonal weather, then Central and South Florida is probably good for you. But if you do like your four seasons, then North Florida is there. We hit 32 last night, probably the fourth or fifth time this season. So up here in North Florida, we definitely get seasonal weather. They do generally tend to last about 3 months each. So if you're concerned about that, for those folks who are not familiar with Florida, but have lived in more northern states, we do have that in parts of Florida. So we also are 60 to 70 miles from any beach at any point in the state. So while there's a lot of great states that have maybe similar veterans benefits, I will say I think Florida has the best. But even if you find a state that has similar, you are not going to find any other state in the union that has the unique geography that Florida has with regards to hunting, fishing, boating, camping, beaching. And then, of course, we've got all the attractions in Central Florida. We've got some incredible economic opportunities on the Space Coast. And before we get too much further, let me go ahead and introduce myself. I am Joe Marino. I'm the Executive Director of Veterans Florida. We are a state-created nonprofit entity that is administratively housed under the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs. And we work in the economic development realm with many of the partners that you'll be hearing from today. So if you have any benefits specific questions in the chat, we can definitely refer those to our partners at the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs. But today's topics are going to generally be more on the opportunity side and what Florida provides in terms of great quality of life, both living and working, and the opportunities for veterans, service members, spouses, and their families. So with that, let's do a quick round the table of introductions. And we'll start with Kyle from the Florida Chamber of Commerce.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Appreciate being here this morning. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us and my fellow panelists. Excited to see all of you. My name is Kyle Baltuch. I'm the Senior Vice President of the Florida Chamber Foundation. We are a 501c3 and the think tank arm of the Florida Chamber of Commerce enterprise. We are focused primarily on what we call the 2030 Blueprint, which the project started in 2016, actually before I was even a member of the organization. I actually served as an advisor on that project. We worked for 2 years to develop essentially a strategic plan, a blueprint to grow Florida from what at the time was the 18th largest economy in the world to the 10th largest economy in the world by 2030. And in doing our work, our research, interviewing more than 10,000 Floridians across the state, representing every single county in Florida, and working with our partners, we came up with 39 different goals that are housed in 6 different areas. Everything from looking at diverse and attainable housing, to childhood poverty rates, to business startups, to manufacturing, to our business and tax climate. In fact, I can put a link in the chat to all 39 goals and the work that's being done. But the idea is, how do we holistically come together and create a strategic plan to grow Florida and ensure everybody benefits from that economy? We've made some strides. pre-pandemic, we were sitting at 17. And just as of about a month ago, we are now the 15th largest economy in the world and still trending towards that 10 number. So if you compared us to other countries, to get to 10, we would be about the size of Mexico. And right now we've overtaken some pretty big countries. So a lot of work still to be done, and our veterans are a big part of that. 1.5 million Floridians are veterans here in the state of Florida. So obviously there's a great appreciation for your service, but we know there's so much work that our veterans can do back home to help us grow the state of Florida. So happy to be here and talk a little bit more specifically as we get into it about the projects we have going on here at the Florida Chamber Foundation.
Great. And next we'll hear from Stephen Gustafson, the Workforce Administrator at Florida Department of Economic Opportunity.
Morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here today and excited to be part of this panel. The Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, as you stated earlier, talking about Paychecks for Patriots, we're a state agency, and our mission is to work and fund the development and implement workforce programs throughout the state that put Floridians on a path to economic self-sufficiency. We work in coordination with CareerSource Florida and the almost 100 CareerSource Florida career centers. And through there, we administer a bevy of workforce programs that, again, designed to increase the marketability of our customers and make sure they have the credentials and what's necessary to find meaningful employment here in the state of Florida. Not only do we administer these programs, but we ensure for veterans that they all receive priority of service through all of these workforce programs. And what that means when we say priority of service is that these individuals will receive the services through these programs they're eligible for before or instead of any non-veterans. So that's a priority across all of our CareerSource career centers. If you walk into any career center, you'll see signs that say, are you a veteran? Please let us know. It's for that purpose, because we want to make sure that through these workforce programs, we're giving veterans that first opportunity, that first chance at these programs, so we can make a priority that we serve these individuals. I'm happy to talk about some of the programs we have specifically designed towards veterans today, and just be part of this panel and hear all the great things that Florida does to uniquely stand out as a veteran-friendly state.
Great, thanks, Stephen. And next we'll hear from Terry McCaffrey, the Vice President of Military and Defense Programs at Enterprise Florida.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Yep, I'm Terry McCaffrey, as you said, and spent 26 years on active duty in the U.S. Air Force before retiring here in Tallahassee, Florida. Retired in 2014, and then went to work for the state of Florida in several different positions, including with the Department of Environmental Protection and the State Park Service, as well as Fish and Wildlife, and then Volunteer Florida, as well as Enterprise Florida, where I am now. Enterprise Florida is a quasi-governmental agency that is the state's business development company. We have three major functions. Down in Miami, we have an international trade section that tries to increase imports and exports of goods and services in and out of Florida internationally. And then we have an Orlando office that concentrates on business development, attempting to bring and support existing companies across the state of Florida. And then here in Tallahassee, we have all of our administrative functions, as well as the military and defense programs. And the military and defense program leads four basic pillars of our programs that support and enhance our military installations across the state of Florida. And that includes the Florida Defense Alliance, which is a grassroots organization that supports bases through a bunch of defense-focused groups across the country, across the state, mostly in economic development councils in those communities. We also have the Florida Defense Support Task Force, which is a legislatively set up program, basically a board of directors that does everything they can to increase the capacity and military utility of the installations so that they remain in Florida and get better and better. We also do the administrative side of the base commanders meetings, which the governor hosts on occasion. We hope to do those again soon as the COVID thing ends. And we have a defense grant program that we do every year that helps support programs around installations. So that's what we do and where we are, and happy to be part of this and help veterans wherever we can.
Hooah. Next, we've got Greg Britton, CEO of the Florida Small Business Development Center Network.
Hey, good morning, everyone. As Joe said, my name is Greg Britton, the Chief Executive Officer for the Florida Small Business Development Center Network. And Joe, thank you for putting this on today. This is a great opportunity to highlight, the SBDC and what we can provide and help our veterans. The Florida SBDC is state designated as the principal provider for small business assistance. We are in statute, although we aren't completely funded by the state. We are funded by the Small Business Administration, so by the SBA. We are a program of SBA. We are a low cost to no cost provider of small business assistance. And when I say low cost, that we just cover some of our workshops and materials and those kind of things that wouldn't be normally covered in what the SBA would fund us for. So we don't make anything off of our services. We're here to support any entrepreneur that's thinking about a business or actually in business and needing help, with business growth and those kind of things. We cover the entire state of Florida, and as Joe said, our state is very diverse. We cover from Pensacola to Jacksonville to the Florida Keys. We have 9 regions that cover the state, about 40 centers, and then 50 plus outreach centers as well. So we're within about 1 hour drive of anybody, and in today's world now, virtual makes it so much easier. That was one thing that COVID did teach us very well, is how to use our virtual platforms to outreach to our folks in the state. So we're here to support small businesses and help elevate their voice in the state of Florida. And I'll just turn it over to Joe.
All right, thanks, Greg. And thank you, panelists. So before we get into the details, I hope one thing I want the viewers to take away just from the introduction section of the webinar is the state of Florida, compared to other states, has formalized a lot of veteran and military family support. From what Terry does at the Defense Task Force, Enterprise Florida, a lot of issues bubble up from those meetings with base commanders that do then get enacted into Florida statutes, such as spousal and service member license reciprocity. Those issues came directly from base commanders meetings over the last few decades. And of course, what Stephen does with Department of Economic Opportunity, and they manage the DevOps and levers, and I'll let him explain what those acronyms as we get a little further in. And of course, Greg Britton. The reason we brought in small business experts as well is because we deal with small business ourselves. And so, as part of our first question, which really is, I'm going to ask each panelist to highlight your current veteran-oriented initiatives, and then how can a veteran or business learn more about them or to reach you directly. So here at Veterans Florida, we have several statutory missions when it comes to supporting veterans, both within the state of Florida, but also across the country. We're trying to reach veterans and transitioning service members and their families who want to move to Florida. So as you can see from here, we've got a lot of good connections that we're going to be able to put you in touch with. We have a direct career matching services. We also have workforce services for employers who are interested in hiring veterans. We have a workforce grant that allows employers to upskill their veteran employees. We have a statewide entrepreneurship network of trainers that provide both workshops, co-working space, as well as intense multi-week cohorts in startup or growth training. And so we work very closely with SBDC with a lot of the same clients in that regard. And most recently, the state of Florida just passed, and our friends at the Florida Chamber worked very closely with us to help work through the legislative process, the Florida SkillBridge initiative. So I would imagine many folks who are viewing are very familiar with the DOD SkillBridge program, where a service member in their final 6 months of transition can go work at a private employer or even a public employer and retain their DOD salary and benefits while helping to ease that transition into a new career. And it's a great pathway for those folks, whether they know it or not, in terms of that cultural shift. Whether you're in the military for 4 years or 20 plus, there is going to be a cultural shift from your day-to-day life and your military duties to your day-to-day life once you're out. And SkillBridge is a great way to help with that cultural shift, in addition to all the technical skills that you gained and the soft skills that you bring to employers, which are highly sought after. SkillBridge allows that opportunity for the transitioning service member to basically bridge that skills bridge or skills gap from your military side to your civilian employer. And the reason it's important is because a lot of service members are doing the types of activities that civilian employers want, but service members don't always have the right certifications. If you're doing server work in the military, well, guess what? You can do server work in the civilian world. But we've got to find a way to get that certification in your hands so that the civilian employers understand what the skills are that you bring. So SkillBridge as a whole, I'm just using a very one specific example, but that's certainly one that I think is applicable. But that can go, from mechanics to electricians to drivers to law enforcement. And as a matter of fact, one of our state level partners here at Veterans Florida is the Florida Highway Patrol. We have service members coming to Florida to train for potential career in the Florida Highway Patrol. We have aerospace companies on the Space Coast. It's incredible what's happening out there. Anytime you see a SpaceX launch, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be out of Florida. And there's a lot of support companies out there that are supporting that launch. So I'll let I'll pass the gavel off to other panelists at this point. And please, again, tell us what veteran-oriented initiatives are you guys undertaking, and how can people reach out to you?
Sure. Well, I'll jump in. And Joe, obviously you were over at our office for the SkillBridge press conference back in February when it was launched, and we're really excited to be a part of that. I think not only do our veterans obviously need to be aware that this is an opportunity they can take advantage of, but our businesses do too. As we mentioned, 1.5 million veterans in the state of Florida, and we're sitting here right now with 520,000 open jobs, and it's not always a one-for-one match, and 517,000 unemployed individuals, but when there's an opportunity to bring a workforce in that already is so skilled, that already has a lot of those critical thinking skills, those leadership skills, and frankly, those hard skills, it's incredible. So taking advantage of an opportunity like SkillBridge is one. Another one I'd bring up, and this is maybe a little bit of shifting gears, but it's a program we have here at the Florida Chamber of Commerce, and not necessarily veteran specific, but something that veterans can absolutely take advantage of, is FIPL, our Florida Institute for Political Leadership. And I think a lot of this conversation that we're having today is not only what are the opportunities for veterans here in the state of Florida, but how can they have a voice in the state of Florida? And FIPL is a completely free program that we run that is open to any Floridian. And if they're interested in running for office, we will essentially give them the car wash on how to do it. It's a multi-day class that teaches you everything from, here are the available open positions in the state of Florida. There are more than 6,200 elected positions across the state of Florida, everything from local office to running for governor. It teaches you not only what skills you need, but what it takes to run a political campaign, how much money it takes, and kind of opens you up to the different challenges that the state of Florida faces. And again, as we look at, I'll keep mentioning the statistics as a former economist, 8.2% of our adults being veterans here in the state of Florida. It's great to have that voice available. I saw somebody mention what is the name of that program. I'll put a link to FIPL in the chat. And if you're interested in running for office here in the state of Florida or learning more, please fill out the contact form. We're happy to bring you guys on board. And we want as many good Floridians out there running for office as possible. And we want them as trained as possible. So again, happy to touch on a few different topics, but certainly want to let my co-panelists talk a little bit about some of the work that they're doing, because I know they're doing some great work.
Yeah, Joe, I'll jump in here, and again, I'll second that the DOD SkillBridge program, and thank you guys for helping get DEO set up as a SkillBridge participant as an employer. We have a SkillBridge participant right now down the hall from me, right at this very second. A young Marine coming from Camp Pendleton, California, learning those skills, how to transition to the civilian environment. It's so critical for a lot of these individuals. Especially those who've done only one tour or maybe 4 tours, for them to adjust back into that civilian capacity is a huge help for not only those individuals, but like Kyle said, it's a talent pipeline, right? That employers can capture. And, we were pretty fortunate to get this young Marine from Camp Pendleton, and he's doing a great job here at DEO right now. He's actually compiling a list of supportive services for veteran family partners throughout the state to send that out to our career centers as a resource. So he's also building skills while helping our agency help veterans. So it's a really, really great program. So I definitely want to thank you and for everything you guys at Veterans Florida are doing for the DOD SkillBridge program. Here at DEO, we have a multitude of programs that are designed to help veterans, transitioning service members, and military families. I'll begin with, you threw out those acronyms earlier, Joe, DVOP and LEVER. So we have the Jobs for Veterans State Grant Program. It's a federal grant that comes down from the U.S. Department of Labor, and it supports the hiring of over 140 positions throughout the state. And these positions are filled by veterans, and their job is to help veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses who are eligible for the program with career services and building an employment plan. They all are veterans, so they have that empathetic approach of understanding how that transition goes and how to translate the skills you developed in the military into civilian speak. So their job is to basically develop a plan with the individual and break down any barriers. They're plugged into their community, they know all the resources that are there, so they can eliminate any barriers may be imposed on that individual at the time looking for employment. And then the lever that you brought up, that person will market the individual to employers throughout the community. And it's a great resource to have someone in your corner going out to employers and marketing that individual, that one-on-one marketing of that veteran to an employer to help them secure that position. In addition to that, we have a state-specific program for military families, which is the Military Family Employment and Advocacy Program. This is a state program designed only here in Florida, which is near any of the larger military bases, which is specifically designed to help those military spouses and family members who may have been dislocated from their career due to a transition or a move. And they help them again by helping develop that plan, helping develop with employment services while connecting them to any of the workforce programs in the Career Center, such as the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which provides funding for training and upskilling, as well as supportive service and a bevy of other things. So we have those 2 main programs. The other thing I'd point to, and I put it in the chat box, is the Hilton Honors Program. Florida participates through our partnership with NASWA at Hilton in a Hilton Honors military program, which offers Hilton points up to 100,000 military points for those individuals who are seeking a job anywhere in the state of Florida. Whether you live in Florida or you're coming to Florida, we can help pay for that hotel if it's to find housing for your new job, or if you're seeking or doing an interview with that new career. We can get you set up through that program to help pay for that hotel. So it'll help ease that burden while you're looking for that new career here in the state of Florida. It's a fantastic program. It just got renewed until 2023. So we're really excited to be part of that here in the state. And again, I threw it in the chat box, so it should be there. Hopefully it came through pretty clearly. And if there's any questions about these programs, our contact information there, vets@deo.myflorida.com is in the chat box. You can reach out to us and we'll be happy to touch base on any of those programs that I talked about today. But thanks, Joe.
I guess we'll stick with the order. So this is Terry. Our focus is primarily on the active duty installation. So obviously all of those active duty folks are veterans, but they haven't left service yet. So, our program's focused there, but not just on the active duty members, but also on their families and spouses and children. So many of the things that we do are focused on preserving, protecting, and enhancing our installations. To do that, we look at encroachment on military installations and try to limit / eliminate encroachment, both on conservation land as well as non-conservation land through state programs. We do that through our grant program as well as matching DOD programs that pay for that. We also, as I mentioned, the Florida Defense Support Task Force, we have 3 legislators on the task force, a senator and 2 reps. And through that, we're able to support and influence a bit legislation in the state. So we've been very successful over the years in helping increase legislation for supporting family members' access to especially college and school programs such as Purple Star Schools, where we were instrumental in helping get that passed. We also work a lot on military quality of life programs and concerns. So supporting legislation that supports anything that ends up being both veterans and military members, like fishing, hunting licenses, all those kind of things. We encourage those and support those. Additionally, we're working on programs that help make the bases and also the communities around the installations where most of the folks that get out of the military end up staying more resilient. So we're working on right now actually a project to get a list of all the resiliency programs and projects that we as a state can do to support military installations, and then thusly the veterans that live around there. Through our other programs at EFI, we also support industries and businesses that do business with the active duty installations. Again, we're a business development company, so we look at all kinds of different programs and companies that largely hire veterans, and we try to help them get better, increase them, or bring them to Florida. So that's a big piece of what we do. And then we also work with our military-based communities, help publicize various programs that help transition military to civilian life. And we do that obviously in close connection with the Department of Veterans Affairs and Veterans Florida, such as help facilitate folks knowing about the SkillBridge program that they do while they're still on active duty to transition out into the civilian workforce.
Terry, for those who are not familiar with it, can you tell us a little bit more about the Purple Star schools?
Sure. Purple Star Schools is a DOD designation program that has certain criterion that schools have to meet in order to be designated as Purple Star Schools. And what that means is that they support all the different DOD activities for those DOD kids. So all of our military kids that are in the public school systems that are around all of our installations, that means that they qualify and perform all of those different functions that DOD is looking at to support those kids, making sure that they get the right classes, that the transition assistance is there. Bunch of different things, as all of you who are veterans know, that moving a lot with your kids is hard. Getting them established in new schools is sometimes difficult, and the Purple Star designation tries to make sure that school you're moving into has all the programs set up for kids who are in that system and move around a lot and need a little extra support.
And what did the
it was passed by the legislature last year. The Department of Education in the state of Florida is working on establishing those guidelines and making sure those guys all qualify over the next couple of years.
Great.
Sorry, you had another question.
No, that was it. What did Florida do for that? So
yeah, so the legislation was passed, and it directed the Department of Education to establish those programs at schools that support those installations. So those are ongoing. We also support, in coordination with Veterans Florida and the Department of Veterans Affairs, the Governor DeSantis Governor's Challenge to Prevent Suicide Among Service Members, Veterans, and Family Members program. So we have a person on our staff that's on that board and supports those programs. How you can get a hold of us, my email is tmccaffrey, MCCAFFREY, @enterpriseflorida.com. or you can go to our website, enterpriseflorida.com/military-defense, and all of our programs are up there.
All right, I think for me at the Florida SBDC, you know, as we said, the state's so diverse, and you know, like I said, we cover from Pensacola all the way over to Jacksonville down to the Keys. We don't have one overarching state program for veterans, so most of ours will be regionally developed programs for veterans. For an example, at our SBDC at UNF, University of North Florida, they partner every year with the City of Jacksonville Military Affairs and Veterans Department, and they present their Entrepreneurial Summit, which connects veterans to available entrepreneurial resources. And they add the different topics to the workshop and schedules each year. And some of our staff members, again, stand on that advisory board for Jacksonville Veterans Chamber of Commerce. And that happens in a lot of the different regions where there's a high concentration of military and veterans. For example, like, you know, in the Fort Walton Beach, Destin area, you know, the Pensacola area, and then you got some in Jacksonville, and then you got the Tampa Hillsborough area down in, and then Miami's got some pretty big veteran concentration as well. But I think I saw in the chat, I think Sharon Kemp had a question about startups, and I lost where Sharon was from in the chat because the chat's going crazy, which is great. But I think she was talking about Miami. So we have a SBDC at FIU, which was right there in Miami. And they can help with any of that kind of startup assistance you need. And I don't want you to think of the SBDC as just startup assistance. I mean, we do help veterans transitioning from the military, do feasibility studies on their idea. And from their military service, they have a lot of great ideas because they're the one in the trenches doing a lot of things. They're like, man, I could make my job better by doing X, right? So they have an idea when they come out of the military that this is the best thing since sliced bread, and we want to figure out how to bring this to market. Well, our consultants can help with that in that feasibility study, you know, to help with their ideas. They can perform market research. They can help you secure necessary capital to do that. And the reason why I say don't think of us just as a startup for SBC, because what happens is in small businesses, there's different phases. And originally, when you first start out as a small business owner, you probably have borrowed some money from a friend, a family. You might have put something on a credit card. You might have borrowed from your home equity line of credit. You might have dipped into your retirement fund or a child savings account because you have this idea, this dream, this passion you want to create your legacy and doing what you want to do for yourself. But it comes a time where you have to be bankable and you have to know what that means. In other words, personal financial statements. How does that supposed to look? How does a clean P&L look? How does a clean balance sheet look? Because when you get to a certain point, you're going to have to go to a bank and you're going to have to borrow money at some point to expand. And that bank's going to ask you for those things. So we can help you through that. And then, you know, government contracting, we have the PTAC program, the Procurement Technical Assistance Center program that will help with government contracting and get you the ins and outs of how to work with the FAR regulations and those kind of things. And then lastly, you know, that access to capital I talked about, but we can even go on into that. You've got this great idea, and just remember 95% of the consumers live outside of the United States. So we can help you with international trade as well. And we do that in partnership with Enterprise Florida. It's a great program. And so to find out more information, really at this point in time, you can visit us at www.floridasbdc.org and just go on there and search, and you can find an SBDC near you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, the folks at SBDC, probably some of the top technical experts in the state that you're going to find with regards to that kind of assistance. And I see a lot of great questions in the chat and Q&A as well about where can I go for this or for that. And Greg's team is a huge part of that. Let me also throw out, so our entrepreneur program, we have intense training cohorts, small, moderated, once a week courses, essentially. And the reason I say moderated, because it's not death by PowerPoint. This is a small classroom environment of 10 to 15 veteran entrepreneurs. And what you're going to do in these cohorts is you're going to test all your assumptions. You may have what you think is the best business plan or the best business model, but our cohort training and our training partners are going to challenge that every week for about 9 or 10 weeks, depending on whether you're taking startup or growth. And sometimes that is just as important as the technical assistance, but don't discount it. We're going to challenge your assumptions that you have identified your ideal market or your early adopter. We're going to challenge if you think you have your minimum viable product ready, or what even is your minimum viable product. So these kinds of challenges to your base assumptions about your business is what you're going to get at our training cohorts. If you can't identify your customer, in my book, you don't have a business. You have a good hobby. But if I can ask you in an elevator pitch, well, who's your early adopter? Okay, who's your next level customer? Who's your next level customer? So many times, and you've probably heard this too, Greg, and other panelists. You ask an entrepreneur, whether they're a veteran or not, well, who's your product for? Oh, it's for everybody. Everybody wants it. It's not really how it's going to work. So we're going to challenge those kinds of assumptions. And so the technical piece as well as the mindset piece go together. So as you seek out technical assistance, make sure you look for those kinds of training courses that are going to challenge your assumptions about your business, because that is just as important, I think, as the technical assistance as well. And funders are going to be asking those kinds of questions. And if you go to a funder and you ask them and they ask you who's your customer, well, everybody's a customer. That's not going to help your case at your pitch. So with that, let's do a quick little lightning round here before we get into Q&A from the audience. Why should a veteran look for a career or start a business in Florida? What opportunities are here? Well, let me kick that off by saying, first off, the business environment in Florida is incredible. And the personal cost of living in Florida is again, it's going to vary based on regions, but generally Florida's cost of living is going to come in at the lowest. We have no state income tax. We have several tax breaks for veterans based on disability rating with regards to their property, their homestead, so to speak. We have a lot of discounts on state parks, on license, on activity licenses. So cost of living is going to be low. And depending on the region that you're in, there's even some benefits such as free public parking. So I think folks can go ahead and research that to see if the region they're targeting or if they're in has that specifically. But on the opportunity side, let me also say, and I've kind of talked about them a little bit, Florida has it all in terms of jobs, from hospitality to logistics to law enforcement to aerospace. And now, what we're seeing, and this is really driven by our friends at Space Florida who aren't on the call today, but Space Florida is really driving the train in growing the space industry in Florida. So we've got the Space Coast out there on the east coast of Florida that is continuing to use the infrastructure that was put in at Kennedy Space Center. And there's really a huge cluster of opportunity out there, whether you're looking as an entrepreneur or for a career. And what Space Florida is doing is they're taking that and they're pushing it throughout the state. So there are a lot of space support employers, companies, opportunities throughout Florida as we see space tourism taking off, as we see Starlink taking off, again, literally and figuratively. So Florida has a lot of opportunities that you may or may not be familiar with, but there's really a lot more going on in Florida than folks may sometimes understand. So with that, let's do a quick lightning round. Let's go. Kyle, what opportunities are there for veterans in Florida that you guys see?
Sure, absolutely. So let me start off with kind of the base level first question. And obviously all of us on here are certainly biased towards Florida. Go to an independent source like Wallet Hub. It shows that we are the third most friendly state to military retirees in the nation, only behind Virginia and South Carolina. Why you should move to Florida is because we're all sitting here on this call working towards how do we get to number one. And if you look at the Florida Chamber Foundation, if you talk directly to our military partners, it's a lot of what you just talked about. We are still pushing for qualified targeted industries to support Space Florida in manufacturing in the defense industry. But if you look at what I think every American, regardless of your veteran status or not, are looking for is how do we support the entire family? How do we support not only you, but your children? Because when you're making that decision, you're making that decision for your family. And we are pushing towards being the best educated state in the state of Florida. We have the top university system in the nation, the top state college system. We're also pushing to have the top K through 12 system as well, with goals of having 100% of third graders reading at grade level, 100% of eighth graders working on math and science at grade level, 100% of kindergarten readiness. We're also focused on encouraging investments, like you said, in both civil and commercial space exploration. We're also focused on how do we improve volunteerism? How do we improve access to healthcare? How do we improve rural broadband here in the state of Florida? So again, what I would say is, why come to Florida? I've worked in a lot of places. I deal with partners from every chamber across the US, and no other state is working as closely together with partners. Greg Britton in SBDC, they are what we call our lead partner on small business startups, and our goal to be the #1 state in the nation when it comes to business startups. And I just don't think you get that. So as a business community, I think we're very intertwined. Nobody is resting on their laurels. We know we have a giant opportunity coming out of COVID, if that's even a terminology we can use right now. But we know we've had great opportunity over the last 18 months to expand the business culture here in the state of Florida and opportunities. But what I think is interesting is we are focused on making sure that everybody benefits from that expansion, and our veterans are a really big part of that. So why? I think because we have great programs right now, but we're not satisfied with those great programs, and we're constantly pushing for more.
Go ahead, Steve.
All right, so yeah, I would kind of piggybacking on what Kyle was talking about, there's a lot of great reasons to move to the state of Florida. But if you're a veteran, one of the first and foremost things that I think of is veteran-friendly employers, right? Because you got to have a job when you come here. And for Florida, we participate in a program through the U.S. Department of Labor tracking what are termed veteran-friendly employers. It's called the Hire Vets Program. It's an award that's issued by the United States Department of Labor, which recognizes small businesses, nonprofit organizations, and then large companies for excellence in leadership when it comes to promoting veterans employment. And Florida is #2 in the nation with the total number of recipients of the Hire Vets Award. So not only do we have, just a great place to live and an abundance of resources for you when you come here, we have employers that are dedicated to hiring veterans because of the intrinsic qualities that they come with. And for you want to find who those Hire Vets medallion winners are, you can go to employflorida.com. That's our state's jobs board. And all of those military-friendly employers are identified in our jobs board. So if you're looking for a job and you're trying to identify where to start, I always start with those military-friendly employers because they know exactly what they're looking for and what they get when it comes to hiring veterans. And so not only that, if you're thinking about a career in state government, Florida is, for me, goes above and beyond any other state in the nation when it comes to prioritizing the hiring of veterans. Just this past year, Governor DeSantis passed a bill that authorized the state and political entities to waive certain post-secondary educational requirements for eligible service members and veterans. And it also called on all the Florida agencies to develop and implement a veteran recruitment plan. So you can see how dedicated not only our employers are, but also our state government and agencies are towards hiring veterans and making sure that they have a seat at the table to make our communities better, to make our government better. and to make our businesses successful. So, you know, for me, number one is just the value that this state shows towards the veteran qualities and the intrinsic leadership and all the things that come with being a transitioning service member or a veteran.
For me, for the active duty folks that then transition, obviously it's the same reason you wanted to come to an assignment in Florida. 20 major military installations in great locations, thousands of miles of beaches, great quality of life, all of those things are important. But we're also one of the major military and defense is the biggest economic driver in the state. $95 billion of economic impact, over almost 1 million jobs in the defense industry here in Florida. So as a veteran, you plug into a giant connection of installations that you can pick which part of the state you want to live in, because they're all over the state, from the Panhandle to the East Coast to the Space Coast to Tampa to all the way down in the Keys. You want to live in Key West, we got military installations in Key West. So you can go anywhere in Florida and be near a base or near a community of veterans and an installation. We also, as some of the other panelists have already mentioned, just a really military friendly environment. Matter of fact, there's 2 things that we publish. You can look at, find them both on my website. This is the military fact book, which shows all of the economic impacts across the state. It also highlights a couple of numbers. Military retiree population. We're the second largest military retiree population in the country. We are the 3rd largest state for veterans, and there's a reason for that, and it's because there's great opportunity here in this state. Defense contracts, we are 4th in the country for defense contracts. So if you want to continue to work in the defense industry, there's plenty of opportunity in defense contracting. And DOD personnel, 5th highest in the country. And that's with mostly Navy and Air Force installations. Obviously, the Army installations are where the people are. So even without any Army installations, we still have that high amount of service members. Plus the military-friendly environment that's been mentioned already, but we publish every year a book called the Military Friendly Guide. We changed the name this year to the Military Benefits Guide, but you can go through here and look at all the different legal benefits of living in the state of Florida as a veteran or a service member, and find them all right here. You can find this on our website. You can look it up. You can go through it. You can click on the links if you get it on our website straight to the laws themselves. Plus, there's a contact information. You call us, and we'll help you get there through, or connect with the surgeon, not the Surgeon General, the Attorney General's office. If you even have any legal issues, we have veterans courts. I could go on and on and on and on, but I think that's the lightning round version.
Yeah, for me, Florida is the best state to start a business in, hands down. And what I mean by that is starting a business is very difficult, right? It's not a 9-to-5 job, and your focus has to be just on starting that business. But with the pro-business policies the state of Florida has, the 10th now largest economy, there's a lot of people that will buy from you. We have great infrastructure, whether that's roads, that's ports, seaports, airports, rail, intercoastal waterways, you name it. You're set up to be successful. And as we know, we've been talking about, it's such a diverse state. And also, I think what's really important to highlight is these partners that are on the call today, and there's other partners that aren't on this call that we all work with daily. And UPS did a study that said 70% of the businesses that have a mentor as they're in business stay in business 5 years or longer. But those that don't, it's 50% less stay in business. So the better network and connectivity you have within a state, the better chances of your success of having that small business and continuing that legacy. So I think it's just really important that you look at this connectivity with all these partners and understand it's a big benefit to a small business owner.
Great answers, everybody. All right, let's start going through some of our Q&A. Let's see. Will contact information be provided? Yes, I'll make sure that we send out after, as part of the post-webinar activities that we include our panelists' contact information. Someone asked also if we could add our LinkedIn profiles in the chat. I've gone ahead and added mine. I think someone else did as well. So we will definitely try to make ways to keep in touch. Looks like we, from Robert Streeter, as a certified minority veteran business owner based in Florida, what is the process in gaining grants for business growth? I think, Greg, that is probably something that you can address.
Well, excuse me, Joe, what was the question again? I'm sorry. I was writing something down.
Sure. As a certified minority veteran business owner based in Florida, I'm assuming that means he's registered as such with the feds and maybe with the state of Florida. What is the process in gaining grants for business growth?
Okay. So, you know, the grants were pretty prevalent, of course, through the COVID process with EIDL and PPP, and a lot of those turned into grants or very low interest loans. Some of your local entities do have grants as well. You know, a lot of the county commissioners have put up grants for helping small businesses start. There's not a lot of just free money out there from the SBDC, but there is a lot of, low interest type loans that you can get through SBA and those kind of things as well. I would say probably the best way to answer that question is it depends on where you're at in the state of Florida. And then if we can get that, you email me if you want. It's gbritton@uwf.edu. And the reason why you see the UWF, all the SBDCs are a part of a university or a college. And well, not all of them, some are with local government, but prevalently they're with the SBDCs are with government university entities. So anyway, email me that and I can get you in contact with the regional director within your region and we can get you those answers.
Great. And I think that also answered John Sarmi, if you're still watching. I think that answered his question as well from the Q&A. Jay Anderson asks, what's the best advice you can give someone from out of state trying to relocate and find employment? Well, I'll take that one. Visit our website, veteransflorida.org. Go to the careers portion and complete a form, a very brief form. We're not trying to get too much information, but we need enough to at least get started. If you fill out our web form and you're from out of state or even in state, we can begin the process of identifying what resources we can direct you to, and we can either assist you directly through the services I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar that we specialize in. If we can't, then we will find someone who will. So filling out our web form is a great way to get started. Also, I think someone asked, are there any veteran-only job boards available for Florida employment? Employflorida.com is the state's main job site, and it's got all kinds of filters. And if I'm wrong, Stephen, let me know. But I'm pretty sure you can filter for veteran-specific employers. So hopefully that answers Jay Anderson and Greg's questions. Again, to fill out the web form, it's veteransflorida.org/careers, and you'll see the register right there. And we have a team of veterans that will help you. I'm a veteran myself. I may have forgotten to mention that in the beginning. I'm an Army guy, beat Navy in a couple weekends. So we have all of the members on our team that work with veterans are veterans themselves. We have all branches represented, Navy and Air Force as well. So feel free to contact us through our web form and we'll help you with your specific situations. All right, let's see. Let's see, how can I make use of some of these resources after the presentation? For David George in the Q&A, again, keep an eye out, be on the lookout for the post email that's going to come out after this webinar. You'll have my contact info and the contact info of our panelists there. Tony Jefferson, are there any small business startup programs in Northwest Florida, specifically Fort Walton Beach? We don't have a trainer right there right now, but we anticipate getting one at the beginning of the new year, new calendar year. But in the
Hey, Joe.
meantime, I'm sure Greg has some folks. Yes, who?
Yeah, this is Terry. I was just going to mention contact Okaloosa One. If you have they have their economic development section in Fort Walton. They're especially veteran friendly and obviously focused on a ton of stuff that ends up going into Agland and the defense industry there if you wanted that. But those guys are great.
Yeah, and if you want to go see somebody from the SBDC, the Okaloosa UWF Joint Campus there in Fort Walton Beach has an SBDC right there on campus. Some great people there that do just amazing work.
And I think we've got time for one more, and this will be another Greg question, I believe. Tony Jefferson, what is the process for certifying as a minority-owned or veteran-owned business in Florida? That would be through the state's Office of Supplier Diversity. Do you have any additional details on that, Greg?
I don't have any additional details on how to do it through DMS, right? I mean, is that what we're talking? The Department of Management Services do work for the state of Florida?
Right, I believe so.
If that's the case, you would have to go through them. But to be certified as a woman-owned, minority-owned business, a veteran, service-disabled veteran-owned business, or anything like that, the SBDC can help you through that process of getting that certification. And that, I think that certification is through the SBA, and that goes then through, works. I think I would imagine that once you've gotten that certification, it'll work directly for DMS. There might be a few other things you have to do, but very little. But our team can help you through that process as well.
Yes, I believe that if you are qualified or certified at the federal level, then it does make it easier on the state level, excuse me, to become a supplier. But the website for that, the main website, you might have to do a little hunting, is dms.myflorida.com. Again, that's dms.myflorida.com. And on their website, you'll be able to find the Office of Supplier Diversity, which has the registration process for becoming state certified as a veteran, disabled veteran supplier, or other certifications as well. All right. Well, we will try to go through the rest of the Q&A offline. We've been running for about an hour, and I want to appreciate all of our viewers and, of course, our panelists for passing along some great information. We will, I am pretty sure Zoom we can download the chat, because I agree there is, someone had a question, there is a lot of good information in the chat. So we will see if we can attach that to the post-webinar email as well. Any final thoughts from our panelists before we log off for the morning?
Thanks for the opportunity to talk to veterans all over the state and people that want to get to Florida. Come on down.
Yeah, echo what Terry said. Thanks for your service, and we want you guys here. So welcome to Florida.
Same here. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Joe, just thanks for putting this together, and thanks to all the veterans for their service. And we look forward to having you in our state. And just wanted to throw a quick plug out there. The governor just released over $8 million in additional funds for WIOA that can help individuals get training and certifications through all of our career centers, and specifically designed for veterans, transitioning service members, and eligible military spouses. So reach out to your local career center, see if they're participating. I put a link to the thing in the chat, and it's a great program. We're excited to have more veterans come to our state and continually improve. So excited.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the week and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.